Hi everyone, welcome back. Everyone is reading the same book, that is NCERT, but still some are able to manage 360 out of 360 from the same book while others are stuck at 250. What does it mean? It means that simply reading does not ensure that you are going to score the perfect marks. The point is, reading is not learning, reading is not remembering. So, what is the exact approach that you should follow while reading NCERT so that we get the maximum out of it and we are able to score 360 out of 360? Because the fact is, from last many years, NTA is not giving any question out of NCERT. So paper is going to come out of this only, easy or difficult. Yes, every level of paper can be set from NCERT and you will be thoroughly prepared to solve every kind of paper from NCERT if you have read it carefully and in the right way. So what are the mistakes that you make while reading NCERT? Let's start with that and how to ensure that you get the maximum out of NCERT. Let's start with this, guys. But the point is, before answering the question how to read NCERT for biology in a correct way, I would simply say there is no correct way of reading NCERT without understanding. So the first step towards reading NCERT so that you get the maximum out of it is to understand. And how do you understand? Yes, you can understand it yourself. NCERT is written in a simple way, but what about the in-between lines, like meanings that are hidden, for which you need a mentor to help you through? So the point one is that you have to understand the concept, and these things are made easy by your mentors. So choose a teacher who you are able to understand absolutely, right? Who you trust and most importantly, yes, how to judge a teacher. You have to choose a teacher who doesn't sway from the syllabus, who doesn't sway from NCERT, because it's not about how much I know, it's about what's coming in the exam. It is about the right approach. So don't sway from NCERT, neither you nor your mentor. This should be the first rule for both us, like both you and me, right? Now, how do we understand? We understand the concepts in the live class. Those of you who have taken a batch, fine. Those who have joined the institution, fine. So you have guidance. And those of you who have not joined anything, you have our lectures also on YouTube. Not all, but then yes, there are, point is you need a mentor to guide you through, right? Now, once you have understood these topics, and during the class, guys, during the class, you have to make your notes. You have to make your class notes along with the teacher. You have to make the class notes. It is through these class notes that you will be able to recall things, you will be able to revise things. So before jumping directly on NCERT, you have to make the class notes. That is mandatory, right? And if you have already attended my classes, you know that we make notes, and these notes have to be completely NCERT oriented. That is another prerequisite for a perfect score. So before jumping on to NCERT, yes, you have to understand, you have to make these class notes along with me, and then these notes, class notes, should be totally NCERT oriented. To be completely NCERT oriented. But you would say, ma'am, you have not written anything from NCERT. These are just pictorial representations. Yes. Why do you have to publish another book when there is already NCERT and we have to revise that, we have to read that again and again? Your notes should be a way to clearly understand things, to write. Your notes should be a representation which helps you not only quickly understand but revise things. It should be interesting, like it should not be a hassle, because understand, every NCERT line is not a question. Please, every NCERT line is not a question. You have to find out the lines which will be asked by NTA, right? So the notes that we make in the class, they are pictorial representations. They are converted into flowcharts so that you find it easy to understand, you find it interesting to understand, right? So all those of you who have studied this chapter with me, you understand that. So make those notes with me or with your educator in the class, right? Don't keep on writing the statements all the time. They are already well written in NCERT and we have to read those lines as such. Are you getting it? If you're just writing lines after lines, you will not be able to recall anything. You will not be able to generate any photogenic memory about it. So first, attend the class properly, then make the class notes which are 100% NCERT oriented. If you or your teacher is swaying away from NCERT, that's dangerous. Because we have to clear an exam. We are not getting into any research. We don't have to prove anything that we have studied extra. No, when the paper is not coming from something extra, why do you want? And extra, whatever little bit extra we need to tell you, that we tell you based on what has come in the previous exams, based on what is given in the NCERT back exercise, based on what is given in the summary, based on what is given in the NCERT exemplar. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about that. So first attend the live class, then make the class notes which are completely NCERT oriented, and then see, during the class itself, we tell you how to read NCERT, which paragraph is important, which lines are important, right? And what is written in the diagram, which diagram is important, how will you get questions out of the diagram, which graph, what type of questions. And not only you have to read the diagram, you have to read what is given beneath the diagram, what is written here. Figure showing species area relationship on a log scale relationship becomes linear. So you have to see it all, and we discuss it all in the class. So step number 1 of NCERT reading is attend the class, because in the class itself we are reading NCERT in a way that you can get the maximum out of it, so that you know what type of questions are coming out of it. Are you getting that? Number 1, that is one way of reading NCERT, that is in class with me along, and that NCERT has to be incorporated in your notes. So those of you who have already attended my classes, you know that whenever there is an important line, like such a line which you cannot miss, or something very difficult that is difficult to decipher, we always bring it in the class. I tell you exactly what type of questions will come. See, everything is not important. Very important thing to know and remember while reading NCERT, every line is not the question. You don't have to highlight everything. Please, for God's sake, don't spoil your book. What happens? See, there's a reason behind highlighting something. You highlight what is important or where you go wrong again and again. But if you're highlighting endlessly the entire book, there is nothing important. The very essence of highlight is gone, and you have just wasted a beautiful book. Right? So attend the class lecture, live class, then make notes which are NCERT oriented 100%, right? Just in a different way, because there are different levels of learning. Third, we incorporate NCERT lines, incorporate NCERT paragraphs along with our notes. You make a box, write down NCERT lines, those which are super important and as such have to be remembered. So that is the first mini way of reading NCERT. And then after, guys, you have learned it all, after you have attended the class, you have learned your notes, you have revised them, now the real NCERT reading begins. The first proper NCERT reading. But what do you have to remember? You don't have to underline everything. Now, because you know the concept, you have understood the concept, guys. Now you will, when you will read NCERT, you know what to pick out of it. Point number 1, don't read it like a novel. It is not a novel, right? Read it very actively. Every word has to pass through your gaze and it has to be noticed. If you don't understand a word meaning, ask or use dictionary. If it is not a technical term and was a normal, still you learn a new word. But you cannot ignore any word that, okay, I have overall understood the essence of the line. No. You have to understand that word also. Why? Because I'll tell you what happens. You may not, give a lot of importance to that word right away during your first reading or second reading or even during the entire year. But when the same line comes in the exam, suddenly your third eye opens and you want to research on that word. So if you have been reading actively, you already know that it's given in NCERT and it should be given importance, or it should be just read and let go, then you know it already. Are you getting that? So the first reading, you already remember the topic, you already have clear understanding, remember that. And now when you are reading, see, I have not underlined everything, I have just underlined the keywords. I have underlined the keywords. So now when I'm underlining, I will also mark it here. So the respiratory, human respiratory system, the passage. You have seen PYQs based on the correct sequence of the passage. So yes, external nostrils 1, then nasal passage, then nasal chamber, then pharynx, then trachea. Do you understand what I'm trying to do here? Then bronchi and then bronchioles. So this is how you read. First, you will only highlight the important words. You will underline the important line. Let's say keep a 2 different color highlighter. A thin elastic cartilaginous flap. So you know what type of cartilage it is? Elastic, called epiglottis. What is the function? You're not underlining everything. I have not underlined everything. And then you make sure that you read this also. Are these points clear? So this is reading number 1. Similarly here, see, I've not underlined everything. Don't underline everything. Now, see, why am I stressing on the fact don't underline everything? Because when I open this page, I know, okay, I have to read these lines and my whole revision is done from this topic. So always underline with that perspective, so that in a quick manner, you can revise things. You don't have to entirely go through the whole context. Are you getting that? Right? And then this is a PYQ again. I'll come back to PYQs also, how they have to be incorporated. So see, I have only underlined. So just by reading these few highlighted lines, I will know the mechanism of breathing. Intrapulmonary pressure increases and decreases as per the process. Right? Then, while reading, so keep these notice. So you can actually write down these points in your NCERT. So while reading every chapter, make sure, are you following these points? You are underlining the keywords, exceptions, right? Examples, tables, diagrams, and very important, PYQs. I'm coming to PYQs, how PYQs will be incorporated. Now, we have ample space here. First of all, don't write everything and don't make it a khichdi here. Don't make it so hodgepodge. It's very important, guys, that you have to create a photogenic memory. For that, you will have to read NCERT again and again. That is one. But for that, there has to be a clear picture of the book also. If you highlight everything, you'll make it so hodgepodge. You'll put everything, you'll fill it so much. You will not be able to, there will be no resolution. Yes, that is a word. You won't be able to resolve what was written in the left corner. We all have experienced that. When we are trying to recall, we think, okay, something was written in that left corner. Sometimes we are able to recall, and while other times we are not. And why are we not able to recall? Because there was already so much of hassle going on there. Don't. Keep your notes very clear. That is mandatory. There is a science of making notes. But how do you use NCERT? You will underline only important terms, and then you will write down the sequence like 1, 2, 3, 4 right away, so that every time you open your NCERT, you know, okay, this is sequence based question, this is sequence based topic, and questions are coming out of it. Is this point clear? So focus on these words. Now, so 3 big mistakes which I feel students are always making while reading NCERT is they're reading NCERT passively. I told you, just endlessly reading from first word to last word and not even understanding. There are hundreds of words that you don't understand the real meaning of. So don't read it passively, be very active. Okay, highlighting everything, told you already, and reading NCERT without PYQs. Yes. So guys, you're not going to read NCERT for one time. We are going to go through that around 15 to 20 times before we sit for the exam. Also, please understand, everything will not be done in the very first reading. So, with every reading of NCERT, you are going to incorporate few new things into that NCERT for that final day. Remember, notes are to be made in a way that they help you in the final revision. Yes, notes will evolve eventually. I'm not just talking about the class notes. They will have another type of evolution. I am discussing about NCERT. So underline NCERT only the keywords, the focus, the words that you need to focus on, and then take care of these mistakes which most of you are making. And that is the reason, same book but different results. Then how to incorporate PYQs. So in the first reading, guys, you are not going to write anything, not writing anything in the first reading. You have made your notes, class notes, you have understood the topic, you are revising what I have read in the notes, and you're reading NCERT and you're just highlighting the focused areas, right? Then now, in the second reading, after you have gone through your class notes, you have read NCERT once, I would say you just see, you've made your class notes are done, learning is done, right? Then you read your NCERT. That first NCERT reading. I'm talking about the first NCERT reading. You actively recall and then you directly jump onto solving the PYQs. First, when you will solve PYQs, you will first of all know what I have made notes, that was good, the notes were good enough, they are able to answer all my questions. Second, you will be able to relate it to NCERT. Oh, I have read this line from NCERT. If you are not able to, then you, of course, we are going to read it again. But after you have solved these PYQs comes the most important part, and that's where your second or third reading comes in. Second reading or third reading comes in. Whatever PYQs you have solved, at least for the last 10 to 15 years, not all, I would say, last 10 to 15 years, these PYQs should be found out from NCERT. Find the exact match. Where has this question come from? Where has this question come from? Okay, and when you, now this is going to take a lot of time, and now when you'll do this, you'll try to find a match in NCERT. That's when the real highlighting begins. And I would say don't really highlight. See, this is my separate copy. Okay, you can do two things. If you feel that okay, you want to create a separate NCERT book for PYQs, you can do that. That is also not a bad idea. But okay, and in the end you can keep that one book. But if you have already highlighted everything, first of all, please go and buy a new book. That previous book where everything is highlighted is a waste. You have wasted it, and don't make the same mistake again. So buy a new book and then follow this process. Okay, now see, how do we highlight the PYQs? Not highlight, at least mention these PYQs in the book. So as said, so in this step, you're finding the exact match. You have already solved PYQs. Now you are analyzing it in your NCERT. See, I know this paragraph, this whole paragraph has come in 2025. So this line came in 2020. This line, these words came in 2023, 2020. You may not write every year to it. See, this is my copy. You may not really have, you may not have to write these years along, but to write PYQ or just put P. So you should keep these symbols. So this is PYQ, this is PYQ, this whole line came in 2022, right? And then there are certain statements which are out of NCERT. Out means they are asking the question by using some extra words. So see, there's this question on in molecular diagnosis, serum and urine analysis, conventional methods of diagnosis. 2023 has asked, which of the following methods does not serve purpose for early diagnosis, does not serve purpose for early diagnosis of the disease. You know, for early diagnosis of the disease, what do you need? You need molecular diagnostic techniques like autoradiography, PCR, ELISA and all. So these are conventional methods, these will not. So underline these words, write down that NCERT statement as such. This is the way of putting NCERTs. This is the way where you go back to NCERT and analyze where has this question come from, what type of question can come through it. And I always feel the day you will yourself become an examiner, you'll start thinking like an examiner, you will be able to crack the exam. So start thinking like an examiner. So now when you are reading, see, we have marked these PYQs, see, We have marked these PYQs. Again, I'm saying you may not have to, you don't really have to write down the years, but okay, still, sometimes writing the years helps you get even better, give even better attention to the topic. But anyways, and you also know that this topic has come multiple times. So write it in small, but okay, write it. I'll leave it for your discretion whether you want to write it or not. But yes, make sure if you see that this question has come again and again, like this topic has been asked in 2021, 23, 24, 22, 19, 16, 14, 21, 17, 16. Do you see that? What do I get? The idea I get that this is one of the most important paragraphs for my NEET preparation. Hardly a year has gone where they have not asked a question from this topic. Right? So do that. Now, after we have done this, comes the third reading also. So solve more questions, more PYQs, take tests, and every time, guys, every time you prepare for the test, see, your NCERT has evolved, right? So definitely, every time you're reading this NCERT, you're learning more out of it. Even till date, when I read NCERT, I am able to fetch something new out of it, right? So solve more questions, take tests, and repeat the same process. Find the exact match. Is that clear? So your third reading will happen. That will be your third reading. Sorry. That should be your third reading. Is that clear? And now, during the third reading, you're not only just finding the match, you're also incorporating what mistakes I have made, and you're marking the mistake in NCERT. Let's say I feel that, okay, although I have clearly mentioned in NCERT that this Connell's elegant field experiment was asked in 2024, I have highlighted all this. See, this is interference competition 2024. I've written everything, still I forgot, and I've made mistake from this topic. Write down here M for mistake, M for mistakes, so that I know I have already committed a mistake here. This mistake is mentioning it in your NCERT is going to be so helpful, guys, to you. Of course, I've asked you to make a separate NCERT mistake notebook, which you should follow, because that's very, very crucial. And every topper is doing those little things which, on daily basis we find it a lot of hassle to do, and we don't do it. But then that difference is created in the result also. So mark those mistakes. So this is how you read NCERT. This is how you read NCERT. So make sure you are doing that. You are attending the class properly, learning the topic, then reading NCERT. Important lines have already been incorporated here. Then read NCERT, active recall, just think over it and jump on to MCQs. After solving MCQs, see what is right and wrong, and then analyze, find the exact match. Then solve more MCQs, repeat the same process. Also, this time you have to incorporate mistakes, and that's the point. So this is how, guys, you read NCERT. Is that clear? And before I leave, very important notice, guys, very important. The Great Indian Freedom Sale is going on this eve of 80th Independence Day. So the whole subscription plans have been decreased in prices, the lowest prices ever. All you have to do is use this code TRLive and you can get this. You can get this. Is that clear? So make sure that you're doing it. So let me know what are your challenges that you are facing, and make sure that you are utilizing this great opportunity to get a course. Because in the live classes also, we are already reading NCERT. Your first reading can be done in the class itself. So all the subscription plans have been lowered in prices. Make the best use of it, and leave me a comment and let me know, guys. Let me know if this was helpful to you, and what are your challenges? How have you been reading NCERT? And what are the differences between how you are reading and what points I have mentioned in the class? So let me know in the comment section, and I'll see you in the classes.